All right. So, welcome back. And this is still Star Wars month. But first, because I haven't done it in a little bit, and I want to get myself kind of revved up because we are talking about The Last Jedi. Probably the most divisive, angry, happy defense, weird Star Wars movie of how fans are there. But first, cue the intro. All right. So now we are talking about The Last Jedi. Intro is now done. And admittedly, right off the bat, I'm going to say what I call this movie. This movie is a half good, half bad movie. And I got a plethora of things. So this was going to run a little while. So first you have the thing set up. By the way, spoilers, I've done it in every single one. This is not a typical review. This is me kind of doing shot for shot, bullet point, talking about it, feelings, thoughts, things, sometimes commentary. So you're starting off, Starkiller base is gone, Kylo is off training, Rey went to go find Luke, Poe is working on being the spark that lights the flame that burns down the First Order, which, actually, to be honest with you, I think that line is a great line. Just me. So, first off, Mark Hamill is awesome looking as Luke. Got the long hair, got the beard and stuff. I like Mark with that. That just is a good look for him. Now, I know Mark and all the fans did definitely kind of complain about Luke's character and the shift, and they're like, well, that wasn't Luke. I call it character growth. Because basically it showed Luke Skywalker. I mean, people are like, well, no, he should never be like that. He's still a man. Like, I think people sometimes forget that because they look at a hero and go, well, they're a hero. But a hero can still be weathered, broken, tired, beaten up. And, I mean, he went under failure. Many died under his watch. He pretty much accidentally got someone started that's like another Vader kind of person and took out the Jedi when they were supposed to be coming back. So he had to take all of that L and he had to absorb that. And now you got this guy who he trained partially running around just willy-nilly taking over the universe. And all the kids and people he was around, all gone. But I'll get more into that in the other video. There's, like I said, I keep telling you there's a video coming. I did like the Rey to Luke relationship. You see the balance kind of back and forth. I'm going to try to run through these, or this video is going to be very long. Poe stepped up. You actually do see more of Poe dealing with the situations, trying to do something. He did something dumb, but he was trying to make a move to win because they were scared. There was like a danger in this, and this movie, I guess the best way I could put it was there was some danger where I was trying to figure out who was going to make it, who wasn't, things like that. I thought the humor hit very well when it hit, but at the same time, when it misses, it missed just as hard. The visuals were amazing. Look, let's be real. Y'all can complain, y'all can cry, you can say whatever you want. The visuals in the movie looked great. The cinematography looked excellent. It really did. But, you know, the space battles looked crisp. I actually think they looked really good. The way space was handled and everything as such, I thought that looked wonderful. The ground fights, they were very good. And once again, Love the actress. I think her name's Kelly Marie Tran. As an actress, I think she was cool. I like her. I would actually love to see her in more things. Um, I think she has a very bright future. She's very beautiful, very vibrant, like a personality. When I see her talk, she makes you excited because she was just excited to be there. And I think she has a great look. And I really think she should get more of an opportunity to keep working on more things on Hollywood. And I'm going to check out, see if she does other stuff. I really like her playing Rose. Now, I preface that because the Finn Rose relationship felt odd. It felt a little forced. I saw potential if they would have worked it, but she was like in his space. Then you get the part where they go to the planet, to the casino, free some horses, the SJW fields start kicking up. And this part is way too slow, way too long. I was like, so you did all this trying to find a hacker that to free some horses? Oh, rich man bad. Why are we talking about this? If they cut this down a lot, it would have been better. It actually detracted from the movie. It felt like you walked into a different movie. I liked Finn because Finn was still kind of focused. Like, look, I need to go with Ray. Nope, you're going here. Okay. But outside of that, it was like you got the animal. The rich people all were bad guys at the casino. Like, why do it? Why would you add this preaching thing to it? It felt like a real world thing. And then when they were talking about how they weren't going to kind of go that route with the party thing, they go and do it. That part was just ridiculous. Once again, the whole segment was just way too long. The battle with Finn and Phasma, I was really excited for it. Like, I was like, oh man, we're going to get this. And then she was Boba Fetted again. And she's like looking up and you see the thing. And the scene was great if you would have put more of a fight. Instead of being at this stupid casino. Because like I said, I can defend the Disney films, but I also can trash the parts that were really bad. And in this particular movie, honestly, this was stupid. You could have cut away from that casino thing and had it more about the fight, like between Finn and them, and added. You could have cut 10 minutes from that casino and added 5 minutes to that fight and made it a good fight. But sorry, guys, go down to Boba Fett road again. Really cool looking. Don't do nothing too much. You're there. You feel like a threat. Then nothing. Snoke in this one kind of just did stuff. I will say this though, the movie did take risks. It didn't shy away from things, whether good or bad. They did make an effort. I will give them that. Out of all the Star Wars films, this one did take some risk in some things. Rian Johnson shot his shot. And this movie sometimes had yes moments and sometimes had no moments. It was complex, but it was also unfulfilling. It was like a mixed bag of mixed messages. It had some highs, some lows, like I said. And as I prefaced all these, they're spoilers, so you've been warned. I'm tired of repeating it. I'll put in this, whatever. I can say this though, this movie, unlike Force Awakens, this movie didn't bring me back to my childhood wonder. Like, I like the color schemes. I like things on it, but the feeling wasn't there. It felt like it was someone trying to be extra thought-provoking, and they were writing another script, and they threw it into Star Wars, and they meshed it with the Star Wars script. I will say the opening fight to the movie was excellent. Very, very good. The Dreadnought commander, douchebag McQuack, that was funny. And then you had Hulks, I don't remember his name. He came up, he was kind of like the new old bad guy, old school, like Empire kind of guy. Now, they had the bombers. I thought they were okay. Some people seem to have issue with it. I thought the bombers were okay because the TIE fighters had the bombers that dropped, and I know they did this in the space thing. But I think the X-Wing had like a gravity push thing. That's my guess. I mean, it could be wrong. This was also in space that you hear explosions like, and really you shouldn't hear anything. So I guess so. Um, Too late to fix it now. But you can't kill all. Luke to the essay thing with the lightsaber. I said lifesaver. Lightsaber. This one, I like the mindset behind it, but the execution annoyed me. So when Luke had the thing and he kind of just tossed it, it was like a F you to the fans kind of thing. And it felt like they were still doing it for a laugh. I get what they were doing because later it prefaces it in the next movie. But I wish Luke would have said something first before he just tossed it. It was funny, but it was funny like, ha ha, that was odd. Like, I wish Luke would have been like, where did you get this? Oh, okay. Take it back. And then if she would have said no, he'd be like, oh, fine. But they had to do that Disney joke thing. Always doing the Disney joke. Instead of just doing the, a little bit of dialogue here would have actually worked. Like, no questions, no nothing, just screw it. I mean, and the reason why I'm saying that, because even when Han got his hands on that, saw a lightsaber, even he had questions. He was like, how? The Rey and Luke teaching about, now I did like this. Some people may not have. Legend versus reality. The whole thing is everyone, and I feel like this was kind of a message to the fans, but in a good way. Everyone needs to understand that they have this idea of Luke. But if you actually look at Luke's journey, he's not what you think. Like, people go, he's the light. He's one of the best heroes. He's one of this. And actually, Luke did a lot of dark things as each movie progressed. But I did like they played with the legend versus reality. Like, okay, you heard this is this, but this is the reality. This is where I'm at now. It had that kind of don't meet your heroes vibe. And aligned with it, people have flaws. Now, they got tracked through hyperspace. I thought that was interesting. I was like, okay, new tech. But I kind of wish they would have expanded on it a little bit. But then instead, they were still focused on the casino planet with the hacker to get into the chip. Then Benicio del Toro, who I love as an actor. But that was a stupid talking hacker thing, which I don't know if he thought he was Robert Rabbit or... not Yosemite Sam, Foghorn Leghorn, where he's like, like I say, I'm like, why are you talking like that? Who thought this was a good idea? Because that got really old really fast. Now, before I move on, because there's a Snoke thing I wanted to talk about. Well, actually, no. Why I'm moving on. So they needed the chip Snoke didn't even, like with the Snoke thing with the chip, it didn't even need the freaking thing. Here's what I found was weird. Instead of Benicio del Toro's character being kind of useless, where later you use them for something, I can't remember his name. Why didn't you use Rose and make Rose the hacker, and then maybe just have to go to the planet to go get the chip thing that you needed to hack into the ship? But Rose could have been the hacker, which would have made her more important than not just taking him there. It would have been a need for her to be there, so it would have felt like she was more needed. She felt more like a tack on, like Scott Pilgrim with Knives Chow, where she just kind of was into him no matter what. I love Knives Chow, but that was a little ridiculous. But that was part of the story. This was a odd one where it's like you could have done more. Like with the conflict, you got and I get it. It's like Star Wars tropes. That's one of the things where sometimes something's a MacGuffin. I don't freaking know. But I think it would have gave Rose a little bit more. And then they went to the Salt Planet thing. I just think it would have worked out better, and it would have made her feel more important. And then it was like they kept focusing on the rich people bad. The poor workers are good. Get money off the workers bad. Animal cruelty bad. And then it's like all of a sudden, as I kept watching, I was like, wait, this is a Star Wars movie. Why am I talking about this stuff? Like, pick one of the messages in that thing, in that particular segment, and stick to it. Also, too, Disney as a whole, can you please stop taking real world problems with diversity and everything and just focus on Star Wars telling the story? You already have Finn, who's a black guy. You have Rey, who is a Caucasian lady with a British accent in space. You got Poe, who definitely looks like he's mixed with something. Like, you were losing focus here. And Rian Johnson wrote this, so that's how I felt. I felt he was losing focus because he wanted to do his own movie, and they still wanted him to stay in the confines of what it is. So the two conflicting situations turned into that. I thought John going to try to get Rey was good, but because of how they did it, it was like kind of a nope. And I do like the whole thing with Phasma. Like I said, these are just random thoughts. When they did the fight and she called him Rebel Scum. Or no, she called him Scum. And then he said Rebel Scum. Like, that fight would have been so much better. And then the fact that also, too, which I thought this was interesting, her freaking thing is blaster proof. And I guess with the mirror thing, it reflects it. I'm like, you could have expanded that fight 5 minutes and cut some of that preachy bull junk, and it would have been so much better because it would have been like, oh, okay, they're kind of getting it in, and then Finn would have gotten the best of her, realizing that she had that. I think that would have actually worked a lot better. And then it's like, okay, you got this love story. It was like they all of a sudden went back and looked back at the prequels and said, oh yeah, there was that dry, weird, kind of awkward love story. I know. Let's do it again. Okay. Then they had this thing where it was the tiny laser Death Star. They're like, we use Death Star technology. First off, it's kind of funny. It's like the Empire has this one thing that's tried and true, so they never deviate from it, and they wonder why they lose all the time. And it's actually because they're using the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. Duh. But it didn't even look like a Death Star. It just looked like a cannon thing. I'm like, why didn't you just say, oh, we have like this special cannon thing inspired by Death Star, or we converted the technology from a Star Destroyer laser to actually become a ground laser thing. And then they try to do this deep moment where she says, whoa, when Rose when Finn is about to sacrifice herself, save everything, and Rose crashes, but now everyone's in danger. She does, we're not going to win, not by fighting what we hate, but by saving what we love, and then does that odd faint kiss, and it's like, it felt like she was still on him more than he was on her. It didn't seem like Finn was really interested in her. He wanted to go deal with Rey, but it was like kind of like, oh come on, this writing got so pretentious all of a sudden. I was like, blow it out your. And then I have to say this: congratulations, you made a relationship worse than Anakin and Padme. At least there was, if nothing else, teen angst involved of, hey, I just want to get the uglies. Like this one, it was like a harem situation, except for one person. She's like all about him, and he's kind of like, what? Now I'm here. And it was kind of like he only dealt with her because he needed her, but it just seemed like she met the guy she always had a crush on. Now, a huge part of the movie that I was actually okay with was Leia. Then I'm like, well, you know, when they promoted it, I'm like, more Leia. I always want more Leia. Then you come and go, oh, she's in a coma. And Kylo's coming in there, he couldn't end his mom. It was like, okay, my dad's one thing, my mom may be a little too much for me. But then again, the TIE Fighter hit the bridge, and then all the commanders went out, and you got Akbar and stuff, and they get sucked out. And there's a scene later in this film that I think would have worked better if you used Akbar or some of the commanders that have been there from before, that were there and there, than who you used it for. Like, the scene was great, but I think it would have made it amazing if you would have did that. Here's a part that even my friends, well, some of my friends, a couple of my friends were like, no, this was awesome. That I'm sorry, all you complaining, it doesn't make sense to me. If you even read anything in the Cinematic Universe, you should have already known this was coming. There's just no way this wasn't happening. I thought this scene was actually pretty cool. Y'all can say what you want, but the fight in the space versus the Force bubble was awesome. And honestly, I think deep down, you guys liked it. You're just mad that it was no like major setup, uh, but more on a surprise legend. Like they were trying to do, like so for the force bubble in space, it was kind of like them trying to do a surprise, and I think that's what it was. Now, for all the people who are the hardcore Star Wars fans who are like, "That's BS. This is dumb. This is stupid." You do remember that in the original storyline, not the movie, where Anakin was burned at the thing. Actually, he was supposed to die, but he created a force bubble that actually pushed the lava off of him from when he was burning. So he held it there for a very long time until he was rescued. You know, a hark back. But no one knew Anakin could do that. He just did it. It was like a death instinctual thing. Being her father, they maybe decided, Ryan was like, you know what, that was a great scene. This will hint back to Anakin. I don't know. Real Star Wars fans, you tell me. Then you had Holdo, or whatever. Yeah, Holdo, whatever her name was. With Laura Dern's. I like her look. Like I actually thought the look looked very unique, but I didn't think it deserved a toy. I was like, what made you think that would make a toy? She was there for the movie. Nobody cared. Like Poe, yeah, Poe, it made an impact. Her, it was like she was there. Okay, she's an authority figure. Most people don't like authority figures unless it's like someone like Leia, who was an adventurer that became an authority figure. And to be honest with you, she kind of, the way she acted, she felt like over the top bull. Like, Poe screwed up, people died, I get it. By the way, while this is going on as I'm going through this, there's still the big old slow space chase that's happening where they're like trying to outrun them in space, and instead of it being like really fast, and that was annoying. I was like, why are we having a space chase and throughout the whole movie and it's slow? Now, it also got me because Poe was being awesome. And he showed that he cared and he really wanted to help. And that's why he was what he was, and he had to learn his lesson. But what's his name just kept going off, calling him, you're a flyboy. You're a hothead. No need for, a flyboy hothead in my place, okay? Like, 2 snaps and 3 snaps and a cherry Coke. Like, what? All they wanted to know was the plan. They were like, we just want to know what's going on, But of course, she's like, nope, you just can't know. So now we got this new conflict. She insults him. She insults him about his demotion and how he's a bad leader. And Poe, like many people would ask, I just want to know what the plan is. Like, we're all risking our lives here. Just, what's the plan? Like, all right, I get it. Like, what's the reason why we're not doing this or doing that? Instead, she just kept secrets and she was all prideful and she had, like, no communication. And I get it. She's an upper commanding officer. But to be in the military, one of the things you need to have is communication. Without communication, if the communication breaks down, then the battle's going to break down. And also, too, they were getting worried because they're still soldiers. She could have easily just told them, all right, this is what we're thinking about doing, and left it at that. But instead, she took every single chance she could get to just cut him down. And I'm like, why did you guys think that would make a cool toy? Nobody liked her. Her best redeeming quality was that she died. Seriously, her most redeeming quality as a character is that she died. And she was kind of doing this thing where it was establishing dominance. Then, Poe all of a sudden turned into mutiny. And then Leia had to, like, kind of clown them all. Which Leia should have demoted her, too. Just for being just a straight up you-know-what. Then you get the hyperspace destruction thing. Which was the only thing she was good for. Now, I have to say, that was freaking beautiful. That scene, I could watch that scene 10 times over. Where they have to clear the path, so they just go hyperspace, and it's just slow and quiet. Because Star Wars always uses noise in space. It was nice that Ryan put that in there where it was just like quiet. And as it zoomed and blew up, it just made a path. That was her best thing. Her best thing in that movie was to die. Even though it would have been more impactful, as amazing as it was, and it would have been epic if Admiral Akbar or one of the other guys did it. Notice I would have wanted Admiral Akbar to do it because I felt he would have been the person that would have been more important than just randomly having some purple-haired lady in there. I mean, I wonder why she's a purple-haired lady, but okay. I wasn't super mad Rey comes from nada because they said, they did the whole thing with Kylo. All of a sudden, he has his nipple pillows out, and now she's all about let's save him. Went from I'm gonna take him out to let's save him. That's just funny. Coinky dink. But some people were really really upset, and I thought it was kind of a rope-a-dope. I was like, they're gonna open up something later, but you don't always have to. I thought that message wasn't that bad. It was like you don't always have to come from something to be great. You can still start from nothing and still be something. But I get it because a lot of fans were PO'd because they had their own speculations of who's Rey's thing and all their speculations were wrong. And once again, I think too many people deal with the headcanon situation. And that was part of their frustration because they're like, well, I want one of our theories to be right instead of it being something else. Snoke fight the guard. I actually like that when Rey and her and they started ripping through those guys. First off, those guards are really cool, but also too, what I liked was this was the first time I could think of a Star Wars movie thing before Mandalorian came out. But like at that current time, there wasn't a lightsaber battle, like a one-on-one, a lightsaber battle back and forth. Per se, they had weaponry that kind of was like it, but like a full lightsaber battle. So it was a great part. And I noticed that people held anger over it for, Snoke not knowing the information about him. It didn't get to me so much because I was like, they may touch on it later. Or it may come up to be something later, which they did. But it didn't do much, but a lot of people were really, really angry about that they didn't get the backstory to Snoke. Because they were assuming they were going to, instead of letting the story kind of play itself. And then maybe afterwards. In this one, he didn't really have that strong of a presence. Like I said, the theories push, in my opinion, is what made people mad. And sometimes I think people push these ideas too hard instead of letting it be what it is. I mean, so you got back then Lucas on when he said when the prequels are coming out, why Vader was going to get his name. You're going to find out about that, and you're going to find out why there's Force ghosts in these prequels, which was very exciting. And then nope, no explanation. So there's always some more of that thing. Like Vader, okay, he just was all of a sudden called Darth Vader. No reason, just Vader rise. All right. Why did he? When Luke was talking about how the Jedi needed to end, when he was talking about the Force isn't theirs, it's supposed to be everyone's, and the Jedi shouldn't own it. See all the flow. I thought that was really cool because that's why what happened before when he was talking about the hubris of the Jedi. It was like, yeah, actually, because the Jedi took out all the Sith and everything, and that made the Force not balanced. And because of it, Palpatine came in and was able to wreck shop. Kind of like they thought they were something else. I thought it was really cool. The ship to the island was exclusive to the Jedi. When he talked about that, and Luke was saying how they're vanity. That was the other thing. He was saying their vanity of who they were. Basically, they were acting higher than they should have been. Kind of being hypocritical. And I did think that when she flowed to the dark and wanted to show her something, I thought that was wild how she just went right to it. And that said a lot about her, but a little hint to her makeup for later. And I like the fact that when Luke saw this, it actually traumatized him because it brought him back to a very bad place. But she seemed not to be tempted by the dark. It was like Rey realized that the Force is just an entity, and that even though with the two sides, you don't have to be light to do this or be dark to do that. You can mix the two. Which is why there should be great Jedi, Disney and Lucas. I love the story of both sides. Basically, it was like a real argument, the light and the dark. that in between, that was nice touch. However, you see Luke saw the dark crack, right? Um, and he saw that dark, and he popped his lightsaber on Kylo Ren. But he saw it with the fear, and it was like the perception of reality. And I like the fact that it when you got the story from two different perspectives, it seemed like Luke was just gonna walk in and murder. That's how Kylo Ren saw it. He woke up to his uncle with a lightsaber popped, ready to do something, and you see Luke. He's like seeing him, and he's like he pops it, but he's thinking about it, and he's actually reflecting on it. And I thought that was interesting, and I think Luke kind of scared himself too, but he felt the darkness and stuff, which is why later you find out why he felt that darkness, and he could hear those thoughts. But when he had it, it was like two sides of it to a story. Now, why Luke didn't think to talk to his brother and sister and talk about the kid dying, I think he felt something that was so dangerous, it made him not think clearly. He was like, wait, this is wrong. Something is very, very wrong. And I think he panicked. Because Luke, even though people seem to forget this, Luke is fast to kill somebody. Like, I do get the mindset that about Luke popping the lightsaber was a little bit not like Luke to some people. But you could have also written it off that maybe he had a moment of weakness because when Luke walked in, he could hear the voices. And Luke didn't swing on him, he kind of stopped. So there is that. I also thought it was cool that Luke kind of did the I don't want to teach you, so Rey stole the books, and then Yoda kind of comes up and pops Luke on the nose. And yes, Force ghosts have mass and corporeal forms, even though people keep complaining. I can't wait to get to that video. A lot of you are going to be mad, but I'm about to shut a lot of your wild arguments and anger that really you're taking in an isolated incident instead of looking at the series as a whole. Yeah, I'm about to subvert that for you. So, when Luke did the whole see around kid, I thought the scene was handled well, but it wasn't a great idea in itself. I thought it was cool. You saw him dodge. You saw that the red didn't move when they did the sand for the salt thing, so it looked like blood, which I thought that was awesome when it shot up the thing. That was actually pretty sweet. And then Luke did the thing. It was cool. It was cool. And then Luke kind of does the dodges, but if you pay attention and you notice he has the wrong lightsaber, it's in the wrong side. Like, things didn't look right the way his hair looked. But even then, with his force projection, he was able to give Leia the dice. But I feel as though Luke could have still did that, but it would have been cool to see him then start using the force and just wrecking shop and tearing everything up. And I think that would have been great. Like, I think he should have went out after that and then, like, saved everybody, gave them enough time, but by literally wrecking things and then going, see you around, kid. And when Kylo tries to hit him, he's like, oh my God, you did all that as just using the force? I think that would have been really awesome because it would have shown ridiculously powerful Luke. Like I said, the red salt was a nice touch. It looked like blood. It also looked like the speedster thing would come up, so it made it give him a trail. That red salt thing was actually really a nice touch. Even the scenes were like, the sand change move, that was really cool. First time I watched it, I didn't actually fully notice it, but the second time I did. I did think it was interesting that Kylo swiped for the death, and it's like a Force hologram, and I liked it just, not a lot. Like, it just worked, and Luke was floating in the air, meditating. I didn't think that was bad. I actually thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, I just wish he would have been able to do more. Like, if he could have used his force power to start throwing people around and doing stuff. But the reason why he would have been so strong was because he was using everything he had left to do it. I think that would have been great. He did the thing at peace and he kind of just disappeared. My personal opinion is I think he pushed and preferred, and that was kind of a reference to the Obi-Wan thing. And I think that's why he kind of just faded, because people keep forgetting that, and I keep saying this, Star Wars is a circular story. I thought that, that was interesting. The R2 the moment with Luke giving and doing the wink to C-3PO, I gotta admit that kind of hit me in the heartstrings a little bit, And that's the only time I really had that kid feeling, because he sounded and looked like old Luke. Like when he did, he's like R2, but there was such a wonderful just love there. And with C3PO was kind of the same thing, and I thought that was actually very interesting. Like I said, for this movie, the humor was a little bit odd, but I get it, for the masses. But it was like hits or misses. The Porgs, more adorable toys. I like the thing with Chewbacca dealing with the Porgs when he was going to eat one, and they kind of had those face. They did have very cute facial expressions. I would like to have like a Porg. Like they were adorable. But Star Wars does that, and they were kind of interesting because I did like when they had the ship, and the one Porg was like, yeah, and it worked for what it was. I know like a few girls and stuff really like it. I like the cute stuff myself. I was like, pork. I would like to have a pork. Like have an Ewok, a pork, a BB-8, Baby Yoda. Have a team right there. Just ultimate cuteness, and you'll be like, I can't take it. I can't kill it. I'm just a good guy. But whatever. So in the end, I think this movie was like half good, half bad, but there was more bad than good. So I did like the fact that Luke found himself in the end, and he had to do what he needed to do to help everyone, and he knew how far they were, so he literally did a force projection, which that far away, I think, just wore him out. And also, a lot of people, I think, missed the symbolism because they were so busy trying to be angry and nitpick. When Luke passed away, he died looking at the horizon. When you first ever see a scene with Luke in it in the original Star Wars, he was looking up at the horizon. So it was kind of like the way he did it, this was the end of his journey. And from him looking out, you got that looking back. And I thought that was a really nice touch. So I'm going to say that this movie, and sometimes now when I do a positive bacon, it's going to be like this with the picture, and the negative bacon is going to be like this. I have to say, for everything that did work in this movie, and there is a few things that did work, the bad definitely outweighed it, but I can't say the movie was like total, just horrendous, because there were parts in the movie I really liked, and there was things there. So I'm not going to give it, I was going to give it a sinking ship, but now kind of going through it, I think I'm going to give it a burnt bad bacon. So it's a picture of bacon, but it's very close to sinking ship, because the scenes that really worked and were powerful actually really worked and were powerful. But the casino thing, that was a huge part of the movie. The really slow space chase until she did her thing, that really detracted from the movie. Like those two things alone, you cut those out, that's a lot of time in the movie that's now there. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. Needs bacon. It could have had a lot of room for improvement, but it was too much of his own thing and not enough of his Star Wars thing. And because he kind of unraveled a lot of stuff that was previously made in a movie that I think was incredible, and I think is one of the best Star Wars films in Force Awakens, yeah, I gotta give it at least a bacon, a burnt bacon down, because like if he would have put in a little more work, it would have worked out better. So yeah, that's Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and I have one more of the movie franchises and something else after the movie franchises with this. So when that happens, things will change again. There's a couple more things I have to talk about even after the movies that you will see, because I'm definitely going to talk about that stinking book series. But it's time for the hat to change, so that's something I'm going to do. Because I got this other hat from, I think, Loot Crate. So, yeah. That's it. This is the Geek Protagonist. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos, if you like what I'm doing. Please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.